The following thoughts, opinions, stories, and expressions are meant for those who will appreciate them. If you don't, we hope you keep an open soul to encounter another here on 34 Questions. Peace. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I'm your host, 34, and tonight I have a very special guest. Rocky G is in the building. How you doing tonight, Rocky?
Chilling, man. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for letting me hold space with you. This is it's gonna be a sick one, for real.
For sure, man, for sure. And yeah, I want to thank you again for stopping by. I know you was coming off work, I imagine, trying to get to this interview. So definitely appreciate your interest and your openness to share your story, man. So thank you again.
It's all good, of course.
For the folks out there who are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, we do some intro questions just to warm up. And then after that, we'll jump into a couple icebreakers. After the icebreakers, we're going to turn to the Wheel of Fate, where we'll spin the wheel, whichever number it lands on. That's where we'll go, how we'll roll. And then after all that, we'll finish out with some closeout questions. Sound good to you, Rocky?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, man. Well, my very first question for you is, how have you been? You've been doing great. You've been doing well. How you been lately, man?
Yeah, man. I've been excellent, man. I've actually I left my day job a month ago, and I kind of just been doing hella gigs again, performing a lot. Things are just in motion, I'm just super happy where I'm at in my life, and I'm still hungry, gotta always be hungry, and I'm ready, I'm about to be 27 in June, and I'm about to make this move to LA too, so I'm just focusing on this little show I got at Brick and Mortar June 19th, and focusing my energy towards that and transitioning down to SoCal. But that with all this motion going on in life, I just feel good and very content on where I'm at.
For sure, man. For sure, I'm very happy to hear that you're doing well. Yeah. So it sounds like you in the phase of transition, right? You just left your job. You about to move. Does this feel like a turning point for you at all, or is this?
Oh yeah. No, definitely, man. I've been in the Bay for 9 years, and it was gonna be 10 next year, but that's when I was 18, So I'm originally from Washington D.C. It's a very similar feeling I had when I moved out of here. It's this feeling of uncomfortability but excitement. This feeling that your life is just about to take not just a turning point, but you're gonna look back at this specific moment in time, and it's tight that I already went through it before from moving and everything like that. But this move's a little different because I'm a little more developed as a person, as an artist. I have more organizational skills and networking skills and everything like that. So I know moving to a place like LA is completely different than moving to a place like the Bay. But I feel like the Bay's trained me enough and, has developed me enough as a person and artist to be able to handle that landscape. And I got peoples out there too, and I've gone to LA, plenty of times before. It's just I'm excited to see what opportunities they have for me out there.
I can dig it. Is it, would you say this is something that's like a business move in your mind, or is this, just looking for something new kind of move?
It's business. It's also spiritual. It's good. It's healthy too. I was basically working at a weed shop, and bless them too. That was a cool 2 years of my life. I needed money during the pandemic. Wasn't plenty of opportunities to perform out here in the Bay as an artist, or wasn't as much lucrative opportunities as there is now. So when shit started opening up again, it's kind of getting in the way of my artistic vision and mind, and I was running their marketing, and I was doing their pictures and videos and shit, taking pictures of the bud. It was great, I was using my photo skills. I was getting better at the whole marketing thing. But then I was like, man, I should just do this shit for me, it's great. The money's great. It felt good to get a steady stream of income from weed and being in that industry and business. But, just knowing me and who I am as a person, not only did I have to leave the job, but it was time for a change of space, because I love the Bay, man. I fucking love it. My mom's still up here and everything. I'm gonna be back. But, I just feel I've done not all that I can out here, but I know that I'm doing myself a disservice by staying. You know, it's no diss to the Bay at all. Like, I just know that more people need to see me, and I feel like not as, you know, everyone see me out here or anything like that. I'm not saying I made it to a certain level, but you know, I just wanted to see if I could get in front of more community down there.
Oh no, for sure, man. As an artist, it's all about exposure. It's all about putting yourself out there so people know that you're doing it, or you know you're doing something. So I totally respect it. You know, it's definitely, I'm 32, so when I was 27, I was definitely like, you know, in the same kind of headspace. Never made the move myself. I don't think it was the right time for me. But you know, in my mind, I also feel like that shift of scenery, or just being out there, you know, just meeting the world, because a lot of people get stuck where they're at or where they're from and aren't really able to connect with, like, you know, the world as a whole. So I'm super happy for you, man. I'm glad that you're making those moves.
Appreciate that. And I'm gonna be back though. Like I said, like I'm gonna be back here 20, 30 years from now or whatever. Like, this is the spot, you know. Ain't no place like the Bay for real. So I'm gonna be back here, no doubt.
For sure. My second question for you in the warm up is, what would you like the audience to know about you?
Man, I'm Filipino American. Like, get that straight, you know. Like, there's some artists, like, you know, I feel like that's the one thing, just know going into it, you know. People can be ambiguous with their shit, and people could just be like, oh, I'm Filipino, but like, not like really, I'm that hyphen, you know. And like, there's a lot to unpack in that. And I feel like that's mostly what most of my music's about, you know, is trying to figure that shit out in whatever ways possible. So I feel like, yeah, that's the one thing you should know for now. Okay.
You talked about the hyphen there, and what does that hyphen mean for you? Because I know for me, you know, I'm Filipino American as well. Moved out here when I was 4, and you know, a big reason why I started doing the podcast is because I was feeling a little further away from my roots, right? Just trying to get connected again. But as I've had conversations with at least Filipino Americans, I've realized that there's a divide, right? A little bit from, or maybe a lot, from Filipinos in the Philippines and Filipinos in America. Like, do you ever feel that way, or what's your perspective on it?
I see it all the time, even just online, you know, people like in comment sections on whatever that has to do with the whole identity thing, or like even the conversation around Filipinx. I've seen sides that is mostly like, you know, intercontinental between like the Filipinos from the motherland and Philams out here. And most of the time, you know, I don't see a lot of like negative energy that Philams have towards the Filipinos in the motherland. I'm about to say something controversial. You know, I see most of the, like, from what I'm seeing on this end, I see a lot of people from the motherland coming at Philams over here, mostly for that Filipinx conversation. And also, I see validity in it too, because like, you know, they can say some shit like, y'all don't even care about no issues happening out here. And, you know, we could get into that conversation later too, because like, I agree with that on some levels too. Some Filipinos out here are out of touch with what's going on over there too. But, you know, you said you were born over there though, right, bro? So like, you immigrated out here. Like, how do you feel about that little tweak? You know, even though you say you're Filipino American, you know what I mean? Like, do you still, like, you were born out there though, you know?
Yeah. I was born out there. The thing is, like, I'm definitely half on it, just because I can still understand Tagalog, but I can't speak it, right? So it's like I can hear the shit talking, but I can't really like say anything back.
No doubt, bro.
Yeah,
I totally understand that. So I'm from Washington D.C. and like there's hella Filipinos out there too, but the disconnect between culture and that culture, the dominant culture out there, which is black, you know, I think it's a little bigger than it is out here in the Bay. I feel like if you grow up in the Bay, there's so much exposure to, you know, Filipino culture and family and history, significant history that happened in the Bay Area. And like I said, don't get me wrong, there's Filipino American history in DC, in the East Coast, in New York, in Louisiana. It's just that there's not as many spotlights as it is out there as it is here on the West Coast, I'm gonna say, even in LA. So me growing up, and when I say like one thing y'all should know about me, I'm Filipino American, like I'm not saying like, you know, oh, I grew up a certain way, or like I got a black card or nothing like that. Like I just grew up very specific to my area in the DMV. And then when I got here, when I was 18, like I really recontextualized my culture around who I was as a person, because kind of like on the East Coast, I wouldn't say I push it aside, but the Filipino culture was always there. You know, I go to church, I see Filipinos there. I go to Filipino parties. I go to the Philippines. You know, but then something about being in the Bay and being around ethnic studies and organizations and youth mobilization and you know, kind of based around the Filipino American identity, that are also these organizations, like whether it be college or middle school or high school, they fight for issues going on in the Philippines too. They fight for the Lumad, for the Moros, you know what I mean? I see these dance companies giving back. And because I seen that in the Bay, that hella affected that hyphen for me. Because I'm like, all right, what's my relationship between my culture and then my citizenship? Because, you know, America fucked over the Philippines plenty of times, right? And yet I'm still reaping the benefits of being an American citizen. You know, I got cousins in the Philippines and stuff like that. It's just like when you say like, what's the one thing people should know about me? I feel like that's the most significant thing about me. You know, I feel like that's the biggest thing about me that I can like wear my chest. Besides like, oh, I play the saxophone, or like, oh, like, you know, I make beats. You know, it's like, yeah, that's all part of it too. But you know, just that internal struggle that's always going to happen in me is the most important part.
Oh, for sure. You know, just to elaborate on my perspective on it too, is that when I was younger and I would go to the Philippines, I remember my dad asking me, I was like 8 years old. My dad asked me, so how's it feel to be here? And I'm like, it feels like home. You know, maybe it was because I just felt like this is the majority. Like, holy shit, like I don't feel this way all the time in America. But then I would say the next couple of times I visited as I got older, I can definitely see how people treated me differently. You know, like, oh, he's American, he's not Filipino like that, you know, especially when I couldn't speak it. And for a while there, it did mess with my identity, because I didn't feel fully Filipino because that's how Filipinos saw me, and I didn't feel fully American because Americans saw me as Filipino, right? So it messed with me for a little bit until, you know, I realized, you know, creating that identity is a personal thing. You create it yourself,
right?
And it's not as like what am I trying to say? Dependent on how other people view me. You know? So yeah, I guess I'm still trying to figure that out. Like for me, as far as like issues happening in the Philippines, I am very removed from it, and I don't feel the struggle. I don't feel the troubles that are happening every day out there, and it does make me feel some type of way, because I don't want them to feel like I'm ignoring it, which I'm not. It's just that, you know, I'm not there, so I don't feel empowered to do anything about it right here. And if I do, it feels like maybe it's coming from the wrong place, like I'm a savior trying to save them from America, you know, shit like that.
No, I feel that.
But yeah, so I'm trying to figure it out still, and I think that's going to be something that's going to be coming up for a lot of Filipino Americans, is that how do we make ourselves feel connected to the Philippines, and for those people to feel like we care, you know? So that's an ongoing conversation, you know?
No doubt. And it's like we have to, and I think our responsibility, like you and I, with like trying to get in touch with them, is trying to find the right platforms and like media and, you know, sources to figure out what's going on out there. Because I feel like, of course, like anything on the internet can be manipulated, you know, especially we've seen with this past election. Like, so it's finding the right sources of information, and then the right people that we got out there too, even if it's our cousins or whatever. Like, hey, what's going on? Like, you know, but I feel it's hard to even be in touch with that because we got so much bullshit happening in America. You know what I mean? Like, we feel this responsibility, like, you know, shootings, fucking, you know, injustice, like police brutality, like all that shit, like we got going on out here. We feel that weight because like we grew up out here too. You know, we feel that black and brown struggle also. So it's like, you know, do Filipinos understand that? Of course, they were colonized too. Like we went through some other shit, you know. So it's like that's the part of Filipino American, you know. It's like this ongoing struggle of these two things that don't really fuck with us, which is like, you know, the place that we come from and then the place that we live at.
No, for sure, man. And you know, we could have a whole like session about, you know, just talking about this. But we'll save it for another time. We're moving on to the third question in the warm-up is, if I were to do something in your honor, a way to express the energy you possess, what could I do, man?
Say it one more time.
If I were to do something in your honor, a way
Okay.
to express the energy you possess, what could I do?
It would be like, I'm thinking like if I like passed away or some shit.
let's let's say you move to LA and like the folks here in the Bay want to do something for your birthday. You know, I never want to put that out there. You feel me?
It would be, honestly, bro. It'd be like bringing folks and coming to my show on the 19th, because my birthday's on the 18th. My show is originally supposed to be on the 19th. It's at Brick and Mortar in SF. And like I was gonna say, regardless, whatever's in my honor, I would say some sort of concert or like tribute, like live performance. Like even if I pass away or something like that, I think like a celebration of live music is like totally like me. You know what I mean?
I got you. Now we know. And I know, you know, honestly, like what's great about being an artist, right, is that you are leaving things behind that people can go to, right, to get that energy back. Which, you know, right before this, it was cool that you were running a little late. It gave me a chance to listen more to your music.
Right on.
yeah, Filipinos in space. I can dig it, man, and I'm definitely out there too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we floating, bro.
There's this one line. I'm a lyricist myself, so I really pay attention to words. And you said it's I don't want to butcher it, but it was along the lines of your undergrad degree not doing much for you, like it ain't doing much for me. I think that's how you put it.
Yeah.
I had a very similar experience in college as well. So like for you, how does that experience impacted you? You know, like going through what they said to go through, like, oh, you need to go to college. All right, I'm here. And then, you know, living it out, getting that piece of paper, and then realizing that it doesn't mean, oh, I don't know if that's how you feel, but for me, it didn't feel as impactful as I think people were making it out to be. So
like that, it definitely means something, you know, anyone that got that piece of paper, like whether it means that you earned it or that it does help you get that job, that's just an achievement, right? That's just something you should be proud of and be accomplished with. I got my shit like over here and shit, but more so like what I'm seeing nowadays, bro, like is that not necessarily you don't need it or that it doesn't help, but it's what people are looking for is your work and your ethic. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that, you know, and my degree's in film. So I've definitely seen motherfuckers that have not gone to school for film and skyrocket, right? And I'm very honored though, because like I got a lot of great relations from school. I got a lot of great relations from the teachers, and the networking that you make and the skills you develop in universities, like super incredible. There is no experience like that you know, you literally pay for it, right? I got my undergrad degree, ain't doing much for me. Like, you know, it's just like, okay, you know, that's really what it is. Like, okay, like it's a part of your resume that for some people value more, but it's trending more in our generation that it's like a lot more in fashion or cooler to not have one. You know, like I didn't go to school for this shit. Like that's tight. Yeah, I get it, you know, but at the same time, like you can't really knock it either. When I wrote that line, I was definitely like feeling like, man, like all these past 4 years in school, I could have just been like working on music and myself, you know, but that's kind of the arc of that album though too, is like I kind of rediscover the importance of education, whether that's formal education, higher education, or education through music. And you know, especially in the beginning of that album and that song, that's what I'm feeling. I'm like, this shit ain't doing anything for me, you know? You get to this other point of the Odyssey when I'm finally meeting a teacher that resonates with me or someone that I see myself in. Then I'm like, okay, like I start unpacking it, because school isn't just about the degree. Straight up, it's really not. It's, and you know, you build your foundation, you build a community, and you learn. If you do it right, you know what I mean. You learn what you need to, regardless of your major. So yeah, man, like that, like it's a thing, because you waste hella money on a lot of bullshit, like books and shit, you know, that you could just torrent offline. But I feel it. Yeah, the whole degree thing, man. Like, you know, we got to be proud of it, especially being like Filipino American and brown. We just can't put, you know, as much pressure on ourselves and weight on it that sometimes we get from either ourselves or our parents, you know.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I think that the way I downplay it is more of me coming to terms with how I viewed that experience and what I got out of it.
What was your major?
I was a recreation and leisure studies major, so I learned how to relax and how to teach people how to relax.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you do like PE or something with that, or like yoga and shit like that, right? Like,
there's a lot to get into about it, but I will let you know that, you know, coming out of college, the first thing I was doing was running like after school youth sports
okay.
with the homie Crosby Athletics. Shout out to y'all. And after that though, I was going to school in Long Beach, so I was out there for 5 years, and then I came back up here, family reasons, and then I was kind of like, let me just find the first thing I can get, which was I was working at Costco seasonal for a little bit, and then after working at Costco in 10 years, man, I had like 17, 18 jobs, kept bouncing around everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I worked at a weed shop too. I don't know if you know Urban Farm. It was around a couple of years ago.
Kind of like near the Soma, like
Yep.
yeah.
So I was there, like from Costco to the weed shop. I drove a lot of people around. Worked for a lot of like the startup things, Google Shopping Express, Chariot. But right now, I actually work with high schoolers. I work at SF High School. I run an after-school program there, and yeah, I mean, and right now the whole wave is like changing for them because they're coming out of the pandemic and are realizing the old school way of education isn't what's fitting them, and it's not fitting the times. You feel me? But I really like how you put it, as far as like, it's not about the degree as much as it is as building a foundation and building community, which I think, for me at least, being a person that's not their teacher, just somebody that's there in the after school program, that's what I'm trying to get through their heads. It's like, this is a time, if you want to change the world, or you have an inkling of wanting to do that, start here. Like, start in this place while you still can. You got 4 years to have people who support you and want the best for you, because once you're in the real world, there's going to be a lot of haters and a lot of people who don't want that for you, you know. So trying to get that across.
When we were their age, there's no one telling us that, because they didn't really understand that, you know. Like, our teachers, you know, they were still in that old way of education, but like something about our generation, and you know, you could attribute it to maybe the internet and social media, like something about the connection and connective trauma that we felt together as like our generation that we've been through, you know, which is like even starting from like 9/11 when we were young, right? Like, shit that we've seen, the war in Afghanistan, like we've literally seen the iPhone be invented, like our generation, right? So what we can pass down to these young ones, like, not get lost in the sauce of the internet and everything, but like you said, like, we're able to apply these lessons that we wish we got when we were that age, and it's looking good. You know, I feel like it's looking good to where these young folks are going.
Yeah, I mean, even though they be wilding, I know that something's coming across, and being like, having more resources to this information that we just kind of grew into and kind of see grow. I think that's what it is, man. You're completely right. Like, the connectedness, these, like, for example, you know, all the bad things that are happening in the world just yesterday, right? Like, I know it's super heavy to talk about, but all the school shootings that are happening, right? Like, these, when we were kids, maybe 12, 11 years old or whatever, maybe we'd hear it from our parents, maybe we see it on TV, but the kids now, it's like, it's thrown in their face as soon as they wake up. You know, they'll check their phone and they see what's happening. I'm sure a lot of them feel like the world is a shitty place just because that's all they really see on their feeds, and I'm just trying to show them,
and you know, it's also young folks that are doing it. You know, these are young folks committing the act, and that's because that's also, like you're saying, like, they're going down the wrong rabbit holes online, or you know, they're feeling like they're not getting enough attention online too. Like, so it's a fine, like, we're seeing both sides of the coin happen, and also, like you said, the informative side, like, these young folks are getting this on their like trending page, or they're getting the notifications, and then we're not really understanding how to process it. I mean, like, we haven't really processed the past ones, like Vegas and like even Sandy Hook. That's supposed to be 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's still all heavy. I feel like no one's even processed the ones before, like Columbine. Like, I feel like we just get older, right? And the fact that these young folks have so much to go off of, like 200 whatever school shootings in America, like, you know, like you said, like we have to be able to not police, but, you know, advise. advise young folks on how to handle the intake of the internet and media and, you know, books, whatever. That's why I fuck with you, bro, for working at the after school program. Because like you said, you may not be a teacher, but you're still a mentor, you know? They still look up to you.
Yeah, and I hope so, man. And, you know, I have a very, like, man, I'll be completely real with you today. We had this one student vape in my face in like indoors, and I am usually a chill person. Like, I hardly get mad, but that just ticked me off because it felt super disrespectful to the space. You know, like, you just blew smoke in my face, and I mean. And that's the thing, like,
funny or whatever, like he was
gotta be cool.
Thinking, right?
Yeah. And this is the thing, like, you know, I got really amped up. I told him, like, what the fuck are you doing? And this is how I know I'm still connecting with him, because he gave me that look of like, I fucked up. You know, even if he was like joking or kidding or whatever, like I think I want to believe that he understood where I was coming from in that moment. Like, you do not fucking do this here. Like, what are you thinking? Like, go step outside, do your business, come back in. But what, you know, just not in this space. But
he took you seriously though, right? You know?
I think so, because I still gave him dap, and he was all like, but
that's real. We didn't get that when you were young. You know, you that reassurance that everything's cool. I just didn't fuck with that. You know what I mean? Maybe we had a cool teacher like that, but off the real, like, we understand that goes a long way.
I mean, I hope so, man. I never know what's going on in the kid's head. So like, they could just been like, what the fuck, why you come at me? But, you know, I'm very optimistic, and I just hope he understood the vibe when it happened.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
All right, man. My last question for you in the warm-up is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
Man, like, you know, you want to say 10, but you got to leave a little extra room for growth. So I'm gonna say like an 8 or 9. I'm gonna say 8. It's like, you know, and I know myself more than other people know themselves, but at the same time, there's a lot more develop and grow. That's the part that I don't know yet. Is like how I want to. I don't know. You know, I don't want to think of myself and set expectations either. I want to go through this journey, but I know myself well enough to be able to, like I said, like, make this move to LA. You know what I mean? Some people go with no plan, and I'm not really going with a plan, but like, I know myself where I'm at this point in my life where I know how to, I want to market myself, and I know how I want to do business now, because, you know, as artists, like, you can figure out what you want to create, you can figure out your flow, but if you're not handling the business portion either, then you're doing yourself a disservice. So I feel like I'm gonna say 8, bro. You gotta be confident. You gotta be confident.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sounds like you got a good hold of yourself, at least, like, you know, what you believe in yourself. How would you say you got to that point? You know, for the folks out there who may be struggling with that, how did you feel confident and feel good about being an 8 or 9?
You gotta have humbling experiences. You gotta have a fucked up performance. You gotta have failures. You gotta have people real with you. You gotta be broke. You gotta get jumped, like, straight the fuck up. Like, if you privileged and all that, then you don't really fucking know yourself, to be honest. Because, like, what is you? Like, you know, if everything was given to you, then, like, I don't see no story there. I don't see no. I mean, honestly, I don't really respect that as much. You know, like, you find out some artists who's like nepotism, whatever. Not saying they're not hard workers, but like, I'm more interested in the person that found out who they were through failure. You know what I mean? And that's the realest way you could, like, understand yourself. Even if you let, like, your family down, or your family let you down, if you went through some struggles, you know, it always got to be like you fucked up, but, like, you know, if you were just in a circumstance that you couldn't control and you handled it, or if you didn't handle it, you know what I mean? What's the most important part is you reflect on it and you do it differently the next time. Because if you keep doing it the same way, you're fucking crazy, right? Yeah. So, you know, I'm not saying I was, like, had the hardest childhood, or I had, like, you know, the craziest ghetto life, nothing like that. But I've been through things where I was challenged emotionally, physically, spiritually, you know, and I had to challenge myself to get out of it. And I think I'm doing that right now by going to LA. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I need to make a change, you know? So, like, I'm more equipped to do that now because I had humbling experiences. All right, but I had to go through life thinking I was the shit. Being a Filipino, in like a mostly dominant black community, right? I had to pull my pants up and like, you know, really like put my chest out. I didn't need to do that as much in the Bay because there's hella Filipinos out here. But at the same time, like, because I went through those experiences of trying to prove myself, trying to be the person in the room that you remember the most, you know, out of the party or whatever. Like, I wanted to be like that. You know, sometimes I got in the way of like my what's it called? My pride. It got in the way of my humbleness, or basically, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I came off as a dick or whatever, you know, and having these experiences that ground me, and, you know, having these group of friends that I trust that will tell me what I need to tell, which is what I built in college. I feel like it made me like understand myself more, because part of like knowing yourself is knowing the bad parts too. Is knowing when you fuck up, knowing when you're like, oh, I'm kind of feeding into how I used to be like a couple years ago, or like, don't act like that. Don't act like how your dad acted when he was mad back in the day. Like, once you understand where you get these traits from, where you get these emotions, and understand your trauma, which you got to do the work for, then you know it, you know. And I felt like I did that a lot through writing, and, you know, having the right ethnic studies classes where I was able to reflect on who I was and my past and stuff. Like, that hella helped me understand who I was. So it's funny. I'd say, if anything, that degree helped me understand who I was, because I was in the right spaces, you know? I was in the right spaces in a room full of Filipinos that got to talk about their trauma and bullshit type shit, you know? So I think, like, you know, definitely like a solid 8, but there's way more to uncover, because there's a lot of more history to uncover too.
For sure. And honestly, you made something click in my head as far as you talking about how privilege can change or can affect how well we know ourselves, right? That is, I think that is absolutely true. And very similar. I don't think I've had the hardest life, but the struggles that I've been through have definitely reflected a lot more of who I am, I think, in my eyes, and shown me, you know, what I'm capable of. So yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
We about to move on to the icebreakers, but before we do that, want to thank everybody listening. If you're enjoying the content, please like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. The other two don't really matter to me, but the last one, sharing, is definitely what I think is needed. So thank you for checking it out, and we'll head back into the icebreaker. So this first one is a true or false. I'm gonna give you a statement, and you let me know if you think it's true or false and why. All right. This first one is: people are ultimately good. True or false?
Oh man, I'm gonna say false, because ultimately ends. I feel like ultimately is based after your life ends. You know what I mean? And if you were to say like inherently good, like good from the start, I'd say true. But you know, I'm not no judger of people's actions or nothing like that. But I do think there's bad people out there, you know, and whatever that means. Like, I feel like everyone has the ability to be good. Everyone has the ability to even redeem themselves and ask for forgiveness, and, you know, atone for whatever sins or whatever things they did before. But some people don't even get that chance. You know what I mean? So, like I'm saying, that's not even a knock on bad people, or what I consider bad people. But I can't say that like, hey, you know, I'm completely safe by going outside. That's just not true.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, that statement definitely depends on how we define good and bad, right?
Yeah.
So that it can be fleshed out a little bit more, but I appreciate your answer.
It's a good question though, bro. It's good.
I know. The second one is: overthinking is bad. True or false?
Nah, false. I mean, like, it's bad. Like, it can be bad. Don't get me wrong, but it's better than thinking something through than not, I think. I mean, like, it's circumstantial. Some things you should just go straight into it. Like, let's say like a sax solo or something. Sometimes you just feel it, right? But it sounds like, you know, you gotta overthink sometimes. That you gotta leave room for some of your thoughts. I think you can't just go with the wind most of the time, because I think that's that privilege shit we were talking about. That you're like, oh, everything's gonna be good. You know, you gotta go in. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, even your fucking podcast, bro. Like, I'm not saying you overthought it, but you thought it through. You know, you got that whole flow going on. You know, so
No, for sure. Man, and I mean, you just said, that privilege thing about thinking everything's going to be all good.
Yeah.
It made me laugh because I am that person who thinks everything's going to be all good. And I had to just reflect. And I'm probably going to reflect some more after this podcast about is it my privilege? Is it because,
Nah,
at
that's
the
not a
end?
bad attitude at all, though, bro. What I'm saying is like, nah, you should definitely think like that, but at the same time, not put that pressure on other folks to do things for you, right? Be
Yeah.
like, oh, like, yeah, it's great to feel comfortable, like, yo, my community got me and everything like that. But at the same time, when I say like, oh, everything's gonna be good, like, have that attitude, but don't have that workflow, It's great to have that attitude, though.
They're like, they're not working to earn it, right? It's just like, oh, I'm not gonna do anything, and it's gonna be all good.
Like you earn this shit. You know what I mean? You earn this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm working on it, man. I'm trying to earn every single conversation, and like, even, I don't know, just reaching out to people, right? Like yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I hadn't done as much as I've done at this point, maybe people won't be taking me seriously, or they'll look at my stuff and be like, oh, maybe not right now. Let's see him grow a little bit more. So for me, I feel comfortable, and ever since I started to where I'm at now, I've definitely gotten more confidence, and that feeling of like I'm earning this. So it all takes time.
How did you come across my shit, or like when did you make the decision to like reach out to me for this?
So I think reaching out to you, like, I was working at the weed shop, and I think someone had played me your music at some point, just because they're trying to share Filipino music, and then I was familiar with Nug Life, and I saw you guys were collaborating pretty heavily, especially for that one tape. So I was like, okay, like, and I mean, I think I've from afar, followed you on Instagram, have kind of seen your growth, and I think for me, normally I don't wait for it, but I look for signs, right? Like, okay, I think what happened reaching out to you was that I think your profile had popped up, in Explorer for some reason, at a certain time, maybe when I was high, and I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll just send him a DM real quick. So
Right on.
in those moments, I feel like it's the universe at play sometimes. But yeah, so that's how it kind of aligned, and worked perfectly for you. You feel like you felt comfortable enough to say yes and come on. So yeah,
Fuck yeah. No, for real, bro. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
no doubt. All right. We're going to turn to the next icebreaker, which is a word association. I'm just going to throw a word at you. You give me the first thought or word that comes to mind, and you're going to have 30 seconds to do as many as you can. 34 seconds. Excuse me. 34 seconds. And the record is 11 right now. So let's see if you can beat the record. But here we go. Your first word is going to be regret.
Doubt.
Crazy.
Insane.
Failure.
Unsure.
Life.
Mystery.
God.
Faith.
Money.
Universe.
Funny.
Me.
Family.
Everything.
Happiness.
Content.
Love.
Expectations.
Ooh, all right. You hit 10. You hit 10. So
Yeah. All right. Okay.
you were close. There's a
Like happiness got me on some shit. Fuck. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Interesting that you said expectations for love, and I kind of want to ask you why you said expectations.
I feel like because a lot of the times that's what people think love is, like, oh, this person's perfect for me because of like how I feel towards them, and like they're a perfect fit for my life, and like they're that's what my expectations is, and that's what people think love is. But it's like one of those things where love isn't that thing that in my opinion, but it's not the ending. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to find love because that's it. Like, love is the struggle you have together, and it's even like, for example, like the love between my instrument or my music, right? It's a constant struggle and battle with thinking like I'm not good enough, right? It's like, damn, like I want to get better, but like as much as I practice, I will never be like a good of a rapper as Kendrick Lamar or something like that. Not saying that's how you do in relationships. You compare yourselves to other people, but that's that constant battle you have with each other with trying to be content. And I feel like once you find that right person, they understand that too. Like we're gonna like there's gonna be disagreements, but you know we have to agree on the bigger painting, the bigger outcome of it. Some people look at the painting like too close, right? They're like, this is like love to me because it's like all up in my face, you know, but you're not giving them the room to see the whole thing together. So I set expectations because in past experiences from past relationships and stuff, whether they've ended or in a good way or a bad way, it's always kind of comes down to that. We're trying to figure out the right workflow and fit. And you know, this is another bad thing that happened with the internet. Like, you know, we think we'll have a chance with as many people as we can, or like, you know, our personalities match like a certain thread on Twitter or TikTok or some shit like that, a personality trait. But you know, it's like I set expectations because I don't think that's how it should be, but it's how it is. Like I see in our, at least in American culture.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. That's some profound shit, honestly. I don't think I've heard it broken down that way before, but I'm probably gonna re-listen to this and chew on it some more. But yeah, man, I appreciate that perspective. All right, man, we made it to the part where we turn to the wheel of fate. We're gonna give it a spin and see what number it lands on. I'm just gonna throw it up real quick. There it goes. Here we go. And just as a reminder, anything, if there's something that's too sensitive to talk about, something you don't want to talk about, feel free to pass. All right, no worries. All right, here we go. Haha, number 34. We got first one. And I need to come up with some kind of prize, you know, for people who get 34. But this 34 is, where do you feel like you belong?
I feel like I personally belong in that realm of existence where someone like me growing up that doesn't necessarily have a specific connection to a community yet can find my music or these interviews or like short films that I made or whatever that I've had an influence on, and that inspires them. That's kind of where I belong. Like you could say like, you know, I belong with my family or, you know, my future kids and stuff like that, but just knowing me and seeing how I feel on stage and seeing how the reactions people get when I perform on stage, like I want that experience to be encapsulated like forever and be like the same feeling I get from listening to Stevie Wonder that I got growing up. You know, I want to have that impact on someone where like, you know, they can go on YouTube and like watch a live performance video. You know what I mean? I want to be the fucking Filipino American that people get made fun of and be like, oh, you look like Rocky G. Like, type shit. Like you know, because growing up it's like, oh, yeah, I'm Marion or Jet Li and Jeremy Lin. Like, nah, I want to be one of those. Like, get bullied and get like become my name. Like, you know?
No, I hear you.
Just like have that impact, you know, even if it is an API, whatever. Like, you know, I just want people to fuck with the music and fuck with the message and fuck with who I am authentically, you know?
And like, as far as being, you know, authentic, do you feel capable, or maybe even now, like, how often are you operating at 100% authenticity, you know, versus having to, was it code switch or, you know, put on different hats? Yeah, so how much of your life are you at 100% authenticity?
You know, I'm gonna say that's the one thing that the Bay really let me do was be myself, politically, be myself, educational wise and arts wise too, and culturally as a Filipino American. So I feel like most of the time that's why I'm ready to go to LA, bro. That's why I'm saying 8 out of 10, like, because I figured it out. What I haven't figured out yet is how to sell it. Right, because we have these artists, you know, these great Filipino American artists, Ruby Ibarra, and then you got the Pilos, you got these different tiers of Filipino artists, and I'm trying to figure out where I fit in that, whether even I should approach it from that way, you know, because like you got the out of touch influencer Filipinos, and you got the ones, you know, actually in Manila, you know, and then you got the ones over here. I'm trying to figure that out still, but I feel like if I become my authentic self, then I'll create that own lane. I'll
Mhm.
create that. Oh, like Rocky G's like Rocky G. And the way to do that is really just expose myself more. Because then I don't got to think about that. I don't got to be like, oh, where do I fit? Then it's more like, no, you're you, right? And I got to figure out how to put that out there more. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I got you, man. That's definitely another interesting. Like, I think you're a deep thinker, bro, and the way you're taking these questions and your perspective that you're adding to it is dope. As far as being authentic, yeah, I never tripped off the fact that maybe it is, showing. It takes a person to show more people who they are to finally reach that 100% authenticity, right? Like, if people don't know who you are, then there's all these judgments. And then for some reason, at least for me, I've always felt like, okay, these judgments are happening. How can I duck and dodge? Or like, how can I, I'll try to avoid these things. And for me, I used to think I was an extrovert, but as I've gotten older, I realized that I'm more introverted. And
where your energy wants to be at, right?
Well, the thing is, like, I enjoy these conversations, talking to people and all this stuff. This one person flipped it on me and was basically saying, so when you do these things, do you feel like you're giving energy or you're taking energy? Woo! And I'm like, well, for me, I always feel like I'm giving energy. Like, if you ask me in all my job interviews, what do you bring? I'm always saying, I'm trying to bring this vibe. I'm trying to bring this atmosphere, this energy to the workplace. So the guy was telling me, so there you have it. That's the answer. If you feel like you're giving your energy, you're introverted. If you feel like you're getting energy from talking to people, then you're extroverted. And I'm like, that makes total sense. And that's where I'm at now. It's like, fuck. Like, I always wanted to be an extrovert, but I guess the truth is I'm introverted.
Damn, that's real.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a trip. But as far as the authenticity goes, yeah, it's really just showing more people who you are, so you don't have to feel like you can't be who you are.
Right.
And yeah, man, I think that's what a lot of people are trying to figure out. All the, I guess, Insta celebrities, or even TikTok now, TikTok celebrities, sometimes I don't know if that's their marketing or if that's them being authentic. Like, do you feel like there's a celebrity out there that's like, who's the most authentic celebrity you can think of?
You gotta define celebrity. I mean, like,
oh, I got you.
Because, like, for instance, I'd say, like, with a blue check right now, I'm gonna say, like, like Bamboo and Rocky Rivera, like, as rappers, like, I feel like them fools are always gonna be themselves, right? But it's hard to say because I don't really know a lot of them folks like that. Like, I'm gonna be real with you, bro. So, like, when this fool Marcos won this election in the Philippines, I hope this gets out there, bro. I DM'd Pilo, I DM'd Sweetie, I DM'd Noodles, Joe Coy, like, because I wanted to know, like, I asked them, and I don't even know if they've seen this. They're probably not, it's all buried in the DMs, whatever. But I put that energy out there. I asked them, I was just like, yo, like, I just gotta know, is there a reason why y'all haven't said anything? Not like you have to say something towards it, or like you have a certain stance on it. I just want to know why you don't want to say something about it, and is it about your label? Is it bad for your money? Is it for the safety of your fam? You know what I mean? And they don't owe me anything. They don't want to say shit to me.
Yeah.
But I just want to know, right? Because, like, I want to know, and me being an artist, about to be a rapper, I gotta understand where I'm at and how I'm trying to put myself out there like that. So
I got you, man.
It's when you get challenged like that, it's like who fucking gonna say shit during the George Floyd protest, and is it gonna be performative, right? Like, I feel like when you say authentic, like, by the time you get that blue check, you're probably already fake.
Ooh, yeah.
By the time, it depends on what you do, you know what I mean? And it doesn't always gotta be out there. You don't gotta fucking put on blast all the charities you donate to or nothing like that. But if people are questioning your shit, like I've been questioning, then maybe you're not doing enough.
Yeah. No, that's a trip, man. Because the blue check comes with a lot, right? Like, what contract are you under? Who else are you representing? So you're right. I mean, that's crazy that you did that. That's hopefully eventually you'll open that conversation more with more folks. I mean, yeah, that election was bananas. I know how I feel about it, but I know there's other folks, like I have family that disagrees, you know, who are like, no, we're more on the other side, and we haven't had that open conversation yet, because usually it's the older generation that's more like, you know, oh yeah, we're cool with it, and then the younger generation's like, what the fuck are we doing? So I don't know, man. I guess there's like similar feelings, and I'm not trying to make this like a political thing, but you know, I know a lot of folks out here who felt this similar way when Trump was elected, and it kind of like, what I'm hoping is that the energy of that is more inspiring than it is depressing. You know, it's like, okay, like shit, like this happened, now we know where we really are, and we should be
that's kind of how we felt
more.
in 2016, right? We like see who really came out, you know what I mean? And that's what I was talking to like Ben today about it. Like he was just like, you know, what happens in the Philippines, you know, if anything, the organization and the mobilization of everyone is gonna get even more tighter. You know, you're about to really see who's real or not, you know?
Yeah, man.
I think that's the truth.
And you know the Philippines, man, very celebrity driven kind of mainstream culture out there. So yeah, I mean that's my thing too, is like how much influence these people who are stars out there have an effect on people. They
probably can't say shit, bro. They can't say nothing, bro, because then they're throwing all their money out, and if anything, they're putting a big target on their back. Like I know folks that go to SF State for just being part of specific organizations that are blacklisted. They can't even go to the Philippines. You know what I mean?
Shit.
It's like that. It's like that now because like it's that easy. Well, there's the whole anti-terror law, right, where they can label anyone a terrorist, and so it's just a lot of things how we got to move and maneuver. And that, you know, me trying to be an artist and keep that political lens, keep that awareness going, you know, we got to think about that, you know, how much are we willing to give up to get that blue check or get that next check, you know? And I ain't opposed to making money, because I'll make money for my ancestors regardless, right? Like you don't get this check, bro, as long as you put that other work in. Like that's my thing too. I don't see nothing wrong with sitting at the table, as long as you don't forget about those communities that could use your help.
Yeah, it's a finesse too, right? It's like a lot of finessing. And you know, who are we to say that these people don't care? Maybe they're at a certain point in their career, they're gonna be like, fuck it, let me say everything. And definitely respect that too.
Exactly. That's why I didn't try to come with that energy, like, because if people come with that liberal ass energy, like, oh, you gotta fucking say some shit, you know what I mean? But like, you know, people have responsibilities and they have a platform, you know, and that's why I just wanted to open up a conversation, and hopefully we get to have that conversation one day with these Bella Porches and other people, you know what I mean? And Bevan Rock and all that.
Well, one day, man. I think the trend for Filipinos right now, I don't know if you feel the same way. I feel like we're on the up and up, like as far as mainstream media is slowly accepting us, finding, you know, different parts that they can promote and market and make money off of. Unfortunately,
you just can't be corny, bro. There's a lot of room for corniness, you know, and like there has to be cool ones too. That's it. Exactly.
There's gonna be corny and there's gonna be cool,
for
like,
sure.
And I think you can carve that path for yourself, man.
Thanks, dude.
All right, man. So we made it. We have about like 10 minutes left in the podcast, Rocky. Just want to thank you again. I hope you're having fun.
Yeah, man. This is great. Have me back, bro. We'll have check-ins, different parts of when I'm down in LA too, bro.
Absolutely, man. Because I think even for yourself, this could be a cool little thing to watch back and see your growth, like where you're at now in this, like right before you move to LA, right? And then 1 year in LA, we'll touch base, see where you're at then. And yeah, I mean, you know, I like to manifest things. So if I ever get there and have that studio, have that space where I can invite people to come in, definitely gonna throw some kind of concert or some, you know, live performance.
Bro, let's do it, bro.
You already know, man.
I mean, you gotta do it. Get a venue, bro. Sponsored by 34Questions.
Yeah.
Easy. Get a little festival going.
It's gonna get there. All right, man. So I'm gonna, before we get to the closeout questions, I have this little exercise I do with folks called the 34th mantra. For some folks, it's the most uncomfortable part, but I think you'll do fine. I'm going to switch you over to a screen that's basically a reflection. You're going to be talking to yourself, but I want you to fill out this phrase. I am, I can, I will. I am blank, I can blank, and I will blank. So this is for you. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll flip you over to the screen.
All right, I'm ready.
Here we go, man. Go for it.
All right, man. I am strong. I can succeed, and I will love. Was those the words?
Yeah,
Will?
you got it. You got it, man. You got it. And if you ever need a reminder, now you have that little sound bite for yourself. That's you at this point.
Thank you, man. And I said love because of our conversation earlier about expectations, and like I want to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Like I'm transitioning out of a relationship too, and we have a cool little thing going on. Me and my ex, like we have a good relationship too. Don't get me wrong, but like I know how I can be better, at being at loving not just like a significant other, but myself too. And like I want to succeed, which comes back to our identity as Filipino Americans, and like wanting to succeed for our past and what we've been through. And I know I'm strong, whether it's not physically, but like mentally and spiritually and musically and to have a discipline. I gotta be strong like that. I gotta get back into the flow of doing these things, and you're helping me out by letting me do this interview, bro. For real, like I need to do more. There needs to be more Rocky G out there. There needs to be more 34 Questions out there. There needs to be more people that look like you and me out there in general. So thank you so much, bro, for letting me have that soundbite and like being reflective like that. I hella appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm definitely happy that you feel like you're getting something worthwhile out of this, something you can use for the future. But yeah, no, I think it's a mutual thing that's happening. Like, like for you, I think you're probably gonna have more interviews after this. So this was a softball, man. Like my interviews are super easy as far as like how I approach it. So yeah, I'm sure you're gonna come across some people who are a little more jagged when it comes to that. But show
ready.
All right, man. Here we go with the closeout questions. This one is actually from my previous guest. And shout out to Derek McDuff, host of Underrated Podcast.
Okay.
His podcast revolves around movies. So I'm
trying to hop on that. What's up? Let's go. Hit me up.
I got you. I'll try to connect you. His question for you is, which movie have you seen the most, like on repeat, and like just always come back to?
It's Pulp Fiction, bro.
Pulp Fiction.
In the 6th grade, that's what made me go into movies and like trying to figure out that story structure, and even when I was in college, just like relearning what I digested as a young ass kid, like that. I fucking watched that movie front to back all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and I still haven't seen that. So
you gotta watch that shit tonight, bro. You gotta get on that.
Sleeping on it.
You've seen Kill Bill and all that other shit that he's done, like.
Yeah, I have seen those, but I haven't seen Pulp. Okay.
Watch this, bro.
All right, I got you, man. I'll definitely let you know what I think as soon as I watch it. My second and last question for you is, what would you like to ask the next guest on 34 Questions?
Hey, I feel like you should ask them. No, bro. I feel like you need to ask them about the Philippine elections, whether they're Filipino or not. I want you to give them a fucking rundown.
Okay.
If you have to, bro. If you had to tell them about what happened in the 80s and everything, or maybe send them a fucking John Oliver video before or whatever.
Got you.
Ask them that shit, bro.
Did John Oliver do a segment on that?
He talked about how it is before the election happened, but he gave a little rundown on the background and everything.
Wow.
Like Manny Pacquiao ran, bro. You know what I mean? Like our elections are crazy, bro.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we got lots to fix out there, man. And I'm not trying to say that from a Filipino American telling Filipinos. Right. I'm just saying
no doubt, bro.
As a person to another person.
Exactly.
We got to fix that shit. But yeah, no, I got you. I will definitely ask them, and I'm super curious who's gonna get this one next. But like, I almost wish it was another Filipino person, but we'll see. And my last question for you, man, the question that ties everything together: 100, 200, 300 years from now, your descendants are watching this video. What would you like to tell them?
Man, I hope y'all cool as shit. You know what I mean? And I hope like whatever money that I try to put into our family and our generational wealth, I hope you still got it. And I hope you're, continuing the trend of like giving it back. You know what I mean? Because like however much money we're taking in, we should look out for the people that looked out for us. So that same conversation I had earlier about privilege, I hope my fucking kids and grandkids didn't just give shit to y'all and everything like that. You earn that money, and continue to be yourself. If I could fucking do it, you can do it.
For sure, man. For sure. Any last things you'd like to add before we head out of here?
Hopefully it comes out soon, but slide out to my show June 19th. Brick and Mortar. It's gonna be a sick fucking show. Other Filipino artists on there: D1, Zaldi, Bettina. Tickets are in link in my bio on IG. And it's going to be surprise guests from like Ruby Ibarra, Bamboo, Balak Bayans. We all going to be out there. Let's just celebrate my time out here before I go to LA. And thank you to 34 for inviting me. Great questions, bro. Like great conversation. Definitely more people need to be on here. You know what I mean? And hopefully get to that point where you get a studio and we could all be in the space together. And see you on the radio. I see you on TikTok, post some shit on TikTok, bro. I better see you. You gotta be on all these points, bro.
Yeah, man, I gotta figure out my marketing shit, man. I'm not a good, so like my first dream growing up was to be a rapper as well. And I realized that after working on it for so long, that I wasn't marketing myself correctly. I wasn't putting myself out there. A lot of mistakes were made. I thought I could just be the successful SoundCloud rapper in my room, introverted, writing shit and making good music, putting it out there. But it's really a lot of work about exposing yourself and bringing that 100% authenticity out to these people, just so they'll fuck with you even more, because you're so real out there. But yeah.
Right on.
But for sure, want to thank you again, Rocky G, for stopping by. Most definitely looking forward to a future conversation, maybe a year from now, seeing how you're doing in LA. I hope to stop by your show, so maybe if you see a guy with the 34 cap, like with my logo on it, then you'll know it's me.
Bye, bro. Bring some folks.
For sure, we'll do. So thank you again, sir. I want to thank all the folks out there. If you listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or watching on YouTube, definitely appreciate your time as well. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Rocky G a little bit more today. Remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love. We'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions. Peace. And then it fades out from there, man. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, bro. Really appreciate it, man.